my father is Ron Gill. He's retired Air Force colonel. Was in the Air Force, well, since I was born, basically. He's retired now, though. He has served in Vietnam. He was also worked as a Joint Chiefs of Staff. He has been a liaison officer in the Gulf War, so he's got quite a lot of experience. But today he's going to talk to you about Vietnam and the draft. For some of you, you will already be familiar with some of the things he said. For others, this may be new information. Today is a shortened hour, so I told him, or asked him, to limit it to about 30 minutes, and then so we have time to ask questions. Okay?
Is it a short day?
Yes, it's a shortened day, but it's faculty. So, yes, it's a 2:55 day. So I ask if you have questions that you wait till he can answer them at the end. I don't believe he's going to take questions about specific things in the war, that type of thing, but he is going to address how the war impacted him. Right? So I ask that you be respectful, seem nicer to him than you are to me.
I don't understand what you said. So good.
I really want to use this. Can you hear me okay without it? Can you guys back there hear me? Okay. I try to put you in see, 50 years ago, that's a long time you guys weren't here, but I was in 11th grade. What grade are you guys in? 11th. Okay, the Vietnam War was going on, watching it on TV. Of course, I was in 11th grade. I didn't care, having a good time, driving my car, and playing football and all that kind of stuff. But, I did know the war was going on, and we were losing at that time, 11,000, 12,000 guys a year. So I knew eventually that I would have to go into the military. Well, the next year, on the senior year, it's 1965, I graduated, and that's probably one of the bigger years of the draft. So that's kind of where I was. You guys can, put yourselves in that. The war's going on. You're young. You don't know a whole lot of things, but that's probably not where you want to go. So we'll start off with next slide here. Okay. This history. Everybody knows what about the Civil War and when the first draft started. The thing to remember about the Vietnam War was if you were drafted, you served 2 years. So you could join and serve longer. So if you just decided you wanted to roll the dice and let them draft you, then you showed up at the basically you get this letter saying go and be classified. And if you look at these handouts, this is prior to the lottery. It shows you if you went down to I went down to the Army base, and a bunch of guys. I mean, I was in college. I got this thing to show to be classified. So I go somewhere and get this bus, and it's all us guys ride down. We don't know each other. Go down I think Fort McPherson, Georgia, and we're in a big barracks, and we're getting classified, getting physical. Everybody's standing around, dropping their pants, getting their check and everything. Like you would in the military, and you get a physical. And then using this guide right here, you would come out with a classification. 1A means that you're ready to go. They wanted you. I was down at the bottom, 2S, because I was in college. I got the third. What I really wanted was on the back sheet down at the bottom, it said 4F. That means if you were 4F, they didn't want you in the military. So if I had a buddy that was 4F, it's like, man, you guys why are you even here in college? Okay. But I was 1A. But because I was in college, I got the deferment. Now later on, they did away with this, and we went to the lottery. So that's what these are. Okay, next slide. If you look at the number of drafted in World War I, a lot of volunteers. World War II, most of the guys were drafted. In fact, in World War II, they didn't take volunteers for a while. They wanted to draft people and tell them where they wanted to 1964, I'm in 11th grade. 1965, I'm a senior. You've probably seen these numbers. I don't know what the population was in the United States in 1965. Maybe 200 million. I don't have any idea. Does anybody know? Rough idea. But you take 200 million people, probably half of them are women, the rest are men, and then you got to look at how many men are from 18 to 26. That's where they can draft from, that group. Okay, here. Of that 27 million, 8.7 million were in the military. Now, at this time, it was during the Cold War, and we were more afraid of Russia than, Vietnam was kind of a sideshow. It wasn't a sideshow if you were in it, getting shot at. But we were really scared of the Russians. The Russians had nuclear weapons. We had a lot of forces all over the world to combat the Russians in case they tried to attack us. This is where we had troops everywhere during Vietnam. Then we had 3.4 million that served in Vietnam, and that could be, I flew out of Thailand, which you have North Vietnam, South Vietnam, then you have Thailand, Laos, Cambodia. All of that was considered Southeast Asia. They talked about 1975, the Vietnam era, but we're officially out of the war in 73, all our combat forces. Next line. This is just some draft numbers. 69, here I am in 11th grade. This how many they're drafting. The year I go in 1970, this is when they start the lottery. Okay. If you look at that handout I gave, the back sheet, the lottery they used that year, 1970 lottery. So they drew the numbers out in December, and if you were eligible for that lottery, then you go in here with your birthday. So each of you pick out your month across the top, go down to the day you were born, and you'll see your number. And now for me, I was born June 11th. My number was 134. So I think some of you have read, Lisa was telling me that the people in December got the lower numbers. And if you look on here, December 31st or December 29th, you would have been number 16. You were going.
That was my birthday.
That's Lisa's birthday. Don't forget that birthday. Anyway, so the first year they only drafted up through numbers 195. Now I didn't know that, I didn't know when I knew that I was going, more than likely I was. So anyhow, okay, why do we go to the lottery system? Because up until the lottery, a lot of people felt like it was only the poor and middle class were being drafted. Because if you were in college prior to the lottery, you didn't go to Vietnam. You got deferment. If you look at all those deferment categories here, there's a lot of different things they could defer you for. Being a school teacher, working at an ammunition plant, all kinds of stuff. So people would figure out how to get out of the draft. You don't want to go, you don't want to go. So in 69, Nixon was the president, came up with the lottery idea. So they drew the first lottery in 69. It was applicable in 1970. And initially the draft still had a student deferment, but they ended up doing away with that. Next slide. Okay, this is about me, I think. Okay. This is kind of my history here. I finished high school in 65. I entered college. I got my fall of 65. Like I said, I had to go down and get classified. I got my deferment. I got married in 69. I finished college in January of 1970. I was on a compressed college program. I crammed 4 years of college into 5 years. I was really sharp. But anyway, so I finished in 1970. And I knew that, because of the lottery, that more than likely I was going to have to go. Now, I didn't know about this number here, so I'm looking at what am I going to do? Next slide. Do I want to wait to be drafted? And at that, the the Marines were drafting too. If you, went down to the draft board to show up, if you got a 1A, you went to the closest base. And the Army's doing most of the drafting, but the Marines, if they needed people, they could come by and say, you wanna be a Marine? You don't? Well, you wanna be a Marine? Okay, they could do that. So that scared me to death, because I just seen case on and all that kind of stuff. So then my choices were wait for the draft, or I could join the Army. If you join the Army, then you can decide where you wanna go for a year. So, hey, I could join the Army, go to Germany, or I could go to England or somewhere like that. That's not too bad. But I was married and I wanted to get as much, I was worried about how much money I would make. And if you joined the Army then in 1970 and you were married, the Army said, we didn't issue you a wife. We're not paying for your wife to come over wherever you are. So I'd have had to fly my wife over to Germany or wherever I was. That's no longer the case anymore. So then I could join the Army and become an officer. Well, I'd get better pay, but I had to be in the Army for 4 years. The next was to go in the Air Force or the Navy. All those, no matter if you were enlisted, you had to serve 4 years. And I read somewhere where they figured that the draft increased enlistment by 1.8 million people. People like me joined the military to keep from getting drafted, because they wanted a choice in where they were going. Then down at the end here, to become an officer in the Air Force or Navy, you had to serve 5 years. So now this keeps getting longer and longer. But maybe the war will be over in 4 or 5 years. What's going to happen? Don't know. Well, the only problem with joining the Air Force and Navy, if you were a guy like me who had finished college and didn't go to ROTC or the Air Force Academy, the only way they would accept you was to be a flyer, because they needed guys to fly airplanes, drop bombs, and all that kind of stuff. So I had to qualify for flight school. Didn't know if I could or not. Next slide. I had the same feelings as Tim O'Brien. Hey, I've got to do this. I had 8 uncles in World War II. But yet, what am I going to do? Really scared, really scared. But this is what you're worried about. You're going to die, be wounded, not married enough. But, I was going to serve my country. Next slide. During this time, you had all the protests going on, because in '68, I think that's probably the biggest draft, probably the highest number of casualties. So you see on TV, Berkeley, even I was going to say, if you're in North Carolina, they were protesting going up and down the street all the time. Now, I didn't get involved in that, but I can't say that, this is, I got a feel for I kind of know where these guys are coming from, but really don't want to go over there. Of course, you'd see on TV every night, battles, they would be on there. Sometimes some of the battles they lose 100 guys a day. Most of these are around 40 or 50. In hindsight, with 400,000 men over there, men and women, and you're losing 40 a day, what's your chance of getting killed? Pretty slim. But when you're one of them, that 40, you see yourself as being part of that 40. And I was seeing my classmates when I was in college. A guy would flunk out of college, and he'd come back the next quarter if he driving his, he got him a job, if he driving his Camaro or Super Sport Chevy or something. Then the next quarter he came back wearing a uniform. It took him about a quarter to get him drafted. So these guys would come back to college, and wearing a uniform, getting ready to go to Vietnam. So I knew that if I flunked out, that would be me. Okay. Next slide. So I decided to join the Air Force, and like I said, I had to become a pilot or Navigator or be in a flying status, and I took my flight physical, my eyes were bad, so I became a Navigator. So I entered training in 1970, went to officer training school. That was 3 months. While I was in officer training school, I got my draft notice report to the Army. So I go, you did get me. I'm in the Air Force, let's say. They had a 5-year commitment. I finished NAV school in 1971. I was out in California. And then in 1972, here I go to Southeast Asia, flying tankers. Beautiful pretty, I mean, you know, flying itself is hazardous, but, you know, we weren't getting shot at. But we would take the fighters up to the border, drop them off. They would go bombing north. We'd sit there and wait on them. They'd come back, give them their gas, and go. Okay. Next slide. Okay, how did the draft affect me? I think that's what you need to think about. It forced me to make a decision if I want to go in the military or not. It wasn't like that when you get out of high school or college now that you can just kind of figure out what you want to do. I had a job. It wasn't a problem if you found that job. The military is going to get me. Would I have entered the military if that hadn't been for the draft? Probably not, because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. It wasn't because I didn't like the military. I love the military. I love hunting, shooting guns, all that. I love the airplane. So, but yet making that decision is very hard to do. It's like when you get out of high school, what college you go to, what are you going to do? Those are tough decisions to make. In hindsight, it was a very positive experience, and I think most people that serve in the military will say that. It did give me a lot of opportunities to go places, to do things, fly airplanes. So overall, it was good for me, but at the time, it didn't look like it. I really looked at it. Is that it? Okay. Going back to if you didn't go to college, or if you flunked out of college, think about taking your ACT test. And know if you don't get into college, you're going to get drafted. That puts some pressure on you. What about when you're studying, you see your buddies, they're out there having a good time, and they flunk out, and now they're getting drafted. You're saying, oh, man, this is not good. So I want to go ahead. I at least got to keep C's in college. I got to keep passing, because they would check on that. If you were flunking out, you may lay out a quarter, but you better get back in college again. Next slide, if I have any more. That's it. So that was kind of the way it was for me. Things have changed now. I think the lottery was a good system, because prior to the lottery, if you were in college, you got to pass, and that wasn't fair to the average American person, average guy in the draft. After the lottery, what really happened was, I don't know if you all read this, but it said in 1970, most of the guys that were drafted had college degrees or had college, because they no longer could get the waiver, and they'd already used up all the non-college guys. See, while I was in college, all my buddies were getting drafted. Now, when it came my time, they'd already served their time, so it's time for me to have to be drafted. And I would say, out of my class, we only had a small high school class, about 70 kids. Every guy in that class went in the military except for about 30. We just had to do it. None of them got killed. They all made it, thank goodness. So that was just kind of like, it was a major factor in my life. What am I going to do when I finish college? Okay, any questions?
Now's your time to ask pertinent, related questions. I'm sure you have some that don't involve me, please.
Go ahead, yeah.
So, when you were on service, you lived on the boat that was in the plains over.
Well, I was in the Navy, I was in the Air Force, and we had to deploy wherever the fighters were. So in Vietnam, the fighters were in South Vietnam, they'd fly north and bomb. Or you had fighters in Thailand. Thailand goes up north, about North Vietnam. So they had 2 or 3 fighter bases. 60 fighters would go attack in the north if the weather was good. So we would have tankers take off about 15 to 20 tankers. We would take off and we'd meet them, and we'd refuel them and take them to the North Vietnamese border, because they didn't want us over there because we had no protection. And we'd drop them off, and they'd go and make their bombing run, and it would take about 15, 20 minutes, maybe 30. Then they'd come back and we'd give gas and then go home. Now, most of the time, all of them you refueled didn't come back. And that wasn't my problem. That was somebody else's problem. That wasn't our job to keep up with that. another question? Go ahead.
Did you end up seeing like an Air Force base that was set up?
Yeah, it was Utah Royal Thai Air Base. We had tankers in Thailand, two bases, or three bases, Bangkok, Utah, and Akli. They had tankers in the Philippines, and they had tankers in Guam. The B-52s that started bombing, they had some at Utah, but they'd also bring them all the way from Guam, which is a long mission to them. They would go drop their bombs and come back. The reason I went over in '72 was they were talking in the peace accords, and what Vietnamese were starting to drag their feet. So we had stopped the bombing for like 2 years. We weren't bombing. So Nixon decided, well, maybe we can bomb them back to the peace table. So I was at work one day, and they called me, and they called my crew and said, "Be out to base tomorrow. You're going somewhere." We knew we were going to Intel. So we flew direct. We just flew somewhere, got gas, everything. And I ended up in Thailand. I don't know how many hours later. It's supposed to be for 30 days, or like 60, 70 days later, I'm still over there. And we're doing the bombing. But then the North Vietnamese decided they wanted to start talking peace again. So they're still doing the bombing some, and then in December, it stopped, and then Nixon ordered the B-52s, the big bombers, going north. They had never been north before. They always just bombed in the south. They sent them north, and I was back in the States by then. So that was a big push that finally got them to come to the table and at least talk about ending the war.
Okay, are these from?
Yeah, those are all, these are just pictures of fighters flying off the wing, and we would refuel them. Some of them you can see the bombs on the, hanging off the wing. You see,
Yeah, so this is.
some of them are real close up.
So I don't know, do you guys know how tankers work? Most, no. Can you kind of
Okay,
explain?
tanker's like a big airliner, okay, and we have what we call a boom that hangs down to the back of it. It's about 40 feet long, and it's got little wings on it, called rotavators. And there's a guy that lays in the back of the airplane called a boom operator. He's got this big window, and he flies the boom just like a pilot would an airplane. He flies it left to right, up or down. And then that's with his right hand. In his left hand, he can extend a probe out of the boom about another 20 feet. So as the receiver comes up, and he's talking to the receiver, on the bottom of the airplane, there's lights, and the receiver can see the lights, and he knows just by practice and training that he needs to be a certain place under that airplane, okay? And he has lights, and the boom operator says forward or back with the lights, or he can talk to the guy, and you need to come forward 10 feet, back 10 feet. And once he gets in a certain position, the boom operator would extend the boom, and the fighters had, some of them had receptacles behind the pilot, some had them on the wing. He would, extend the boom into the receptacle, which is about these little doors open up, and they open up like that, big hole about that big. The boom would go in there, and then we'd get a contact position up in the cockpit where I flew, and then we'd pump him gas. So then, as the fighter was moving around, the boom operator's flying this boom, keeping with him. It was up and down, you get turbulence and stuff like that. And then if the fighter were to go too far left or right, then the boom would automatically disconnect. What you worried about it was him coming up on hitting you like that.
To me, it almost, about this as a kid, when you tell stories about it, I think about trying, have you ever drank Capri Sun? This is a total oversimplification of it, all right? But imagine flying an airplane and trying to get a straw in a Capri Sun that's moving. Do you understand what I'm like? I mean, that's what you had to do. And so you got people in the front of the airplane trying to fly the airplane, keep it steady. You got the boom operator in the back, and you're trying to get that Capri Sun. And you know what happens with the Capri Sun? If you miss, it goes through, stuff goes everywhere. Same thing with refueling. I mean, they're not going to go bomb if you don't have enough gas. You can't get up to North Vietnam.
If you think about going down the road in a car where you're behind a guy, say, I know you guys always stay one car length for don't do that. Well, just say you're an accident and you get right on this number and you're doing 60 miles an hour. Okay? That's what you're doing, but then you gotta worry about, in the car, you got left or right, front or back. You don't have to worry about this. So that's the extra dimension the boom operator was dealing with. Yes, sir.
So as a navigator, like I realize you navigated, but what exactly were your responsibilities on the plane?
Yeah, I had a checklist here, but I had to do the rendezvous. In other words, I planned the mission, like we would find out every day, we gotta meet these fighters at this point. And then I would plan the mission, how we're gonna get there, how long it would take. At that time, then the pilots they would figure the fuel burn. You know, we basically burned 13,000 pounds an hour. Now, let's see, a gallon of fuel weighed around 5 pounds, I think, something like that. He would figure out how much fuel we had to have. Then the boom operator, the guy that did this, he would figure out how to balance the airplane. You don't want all the fuel in the bag, you don't want anything. We had 10 tanks in that airplane, because that's all we would expect to have. So we'd get that done. Then I'd get the airplane to the rendezvous point, and we'd enter an orbit, and then the fighters would come up, and I would have to rendezvous with the fighters, and we had different ways. I'd be in a big circle right here, just holding this racetrack, and the fighter would go to the initial point, he could fly a direct line. And I could tell on radar or other way how far away he was from us, and then I would figure the wind and drift. You're turning. If you're going in an airplane and you say the wind's coming this way and you turn, you're going to the same place. If the wind's blowing you, it blows you way down. So we'd have to figure out. I wouldn't want to roll out and be down here and him up there, so we'd figure all that out. And you're closing at a mile every 4 seconds. Okay, so then you would sit there, turn now, pilots turn here. And then
He
hopefully
makes it
work out.
sound easy.
It didn't always work out. You
I
know,
mean, my
sometimes
dad's make
you
it sound
overshoot
easy,
your
but there's
work.
like physics involved and
Yeah,
stuff.
I mean, it's really a pretty simple problem.
It's not simple.
Well, you got, in that checklist, you go in there with your wind and your closure rates, and it tells you how much you have to offset. So it's all been figured out, but it doesn't mean there's not human error in it. It happens all the time. The biggest thing was the draft, was worrying about not knowing as a kid, not knowing what's going to happen. And then when it does happen, how am I going to respond to it? Am I going to wimp out and I do what they want me to do?
Hey,
Mr. Gill, did your service, or I guess how did your service affect your opinion on the war? Or did it? Did you just maybe do your job and get that out of your mind?
At that time, I was 21 and bulletproof. I support it. Even though I didn't want to go, I didn't want to die for my country. I supported the war. And I was reading, getting this speech together. I found out a lot of stuff I didn't know about, but they did a study and they found out that when the lottery came out, that those with low draft numbers became vocally against the war, more liberal, and they voted Democratic.
because they had low draft numbers.
Yeah, if you had a low draft, you were getting drafted. It's like now, we've got guys over in Iraq and Afghanistan. They're fighting now, we don't even think about it. Our life, it happened that way in World War II, guys would go over there and come home on leave or something, and people are just doing their normal lives. We have a normal life, and if part of that is fighting, and it's not, you're not involved in it. That's just human nature, but you're all consumed by it, but it affects you. Anything else? Over here, go ahead.
What would you, in college, what were you majoring?
History major.
God help him, history. Big.
Yeah,
History teacher, former history teacher.
Yeah, so I like history, military history, like that. When I was a kid, my uncles, talked about the war, what they did. It's all wonderful stuff to me, and you could go to an Army and Navy store in the 50s, and they had everything from World War II, helmets, and as a kid, you could just buy everything, I'm not that way now, so, more into the culture than that.
Did you ever get to do anything with did you get a degree? Did you ever do anything?
Well, at that time in the 70s, a college degree, all you had to have was a college degree to get in most, unless it was, say, a technical field, but you could go to most companies and they would put you in their managerial training program. And you could go to furniture company, you could go to, I lived in the South, that made a lot of furniture, made a lot of pots and mills and things like that. Or I was really probably would have gone to Sears, work for Sears Roebuck, because I had two uncles that worked there, and they were managers, stores, stuff like that. And I could have got in their training program. And they didn't really care what your degree was, as long as you came to college. See, now it's not that way. Yes.
Did your uncle give you advice on that?
Advice? Yeah, they told me, you know, I think as young, you know, you think I want to be a Marine and be tough and all that, and they said you don't really want to do that. So, and the Air Force, you know, I loved airplanes anyway, so, none of them, I don't think any of them said, because they were all drafted, none of them said wait for the draft. You pick where you want to go and try to have some control over your career, which direction, even though when you go into the military, you know, you sign a blank check. They do what they want to. So they may promise you, oh, you want to go to Germany for a year, so you're missing war. Well, 2 months later, the needs of the service are we need more people over there. So there goes your promise. Yeah.
Was it like hard to come back and adjust to everything?
Well, it wasn't for me, because see, I wasn't a ground pounder. I wasn't infantry or army, so it was a lot different. You know, when I flew out of Thailand, we would go fly twice a day. I'd come back to air-conditioned quarters, okay, play tennis all the time, went to the club and ate. That was war for me, okay? I mean, it's scary flying, but it wasn't like those guys. So, you know, it depends on where you are and what you're doing. And then when I came back, see, I stayed in the military. So a lot of the guys from the Army and Marines, say the draftees have spent 2 years, you know. Once you get drafted, it takes you about 6 months to get trained. Go over there for a year, you work up to 18 months. Get out 24, you come home, people not supporting the war, you know it. I lived on a military base. You didn't have people not supporting the war military base. I didn't have people spitting or making fun of me like a lot of them. So I was pretty good that way. So,
Tell me the story about this is kind of only comic relief, but tell me the story about the one that did your laundry.
oh, yeah.
This, I think you have a picture.
When, like I said, I was sent over in short notice. They sent a bunch of tanker crews over there because it was starting to bomb again. So the base we were at, they had these like chicken coops, and what we call them big, I don't know, maybe 20 by 10, and it had the windows pulled up the side with screens. So they shut the windows, put an air conditioner in there, and that's where we stayed. And so we had a local pie woman would come and wash our clothes for us and iron our clothes, and we called it. So she'd polish your shoes, you know, I think it's 50 cents a week, she'd polish your shoes, did all that stuff. So I noticed I hadn't been there long, and something's sticking me down here, and it's really irritating me. I don't know what it is, and what in the world's happening. And find out she's taking our clothes and washing them on a wooden board, putting splinters in our underwear. But that's kind of the way it was.
That was close to coming back.
Well, the worst part about it was I'm a big tennis player and played a lot of tennis, and nothing else to do. We were at the tennis balls, we played so much there was no buzz on it. So you could always tell when a new crew flew in. Because you go to the tennis course and they had nice tennis balls. So, anyway. But like, you know, where I was, I think the base had been shelled one time. It wasn't like Vitamin Station in Vietnam flying airplanes. You know, the Vietcong shelled the bases all the time, so those guys were on constant threat. We weren't. checklist, what we have to do, this is like a slide rule. This is a round slide rule, like anybody that flies airplanes, even now, learn how to use this MD, I forget what they call it, but I can go in here and you can figure how long it takes you to go so far, drift, ground speed, all kind of things, altitude, pressure altitude. This is what they use in the air. And you'll see pilots, if you go through any kind of pilot training now, you'll still have one of these, we call them whiz wheels. Everybody's seen a flight helmet. And there's a few patches, and I don't know if y'all saw this, but this would give you turn range and offset. At each chart you would go into how fast you were going. I'd have to talk to the receiver on the radio to make sure we're not the same altitude. It'd be bad news if we were coming like this, the same altitude. So he made sure that he was below you. He made sure that he had his gun off so he didn't shoot you when you're trying to shoot you. So, you know, you made sure all those things for safety. So in that checklist, I'd have to manually check that with the other pilot coming in. This is just a history of the tankers in Southeast Asia.
That might be a good source for something.
And this has some stuff in here that tells you, I can find it back here, how much fuel we could offload per minute, how much, you know, how much fuel we could carry, how far we could go. Sometimes we'd go up at night, and they kept the tanker airborne all the time in case somebody needed it. And you just go up there and just fly over here for 2 hours, then you go over here, fly for 2 hours, then you go over here, and you just forward. And we'd always call up the guys on the ground and say, request RTB, request the turn base. And they would always say, how much fuel do you have? And we'd say, bingo. Bingo is when you're down to enough fuel to get home. So you fly down to bingo, like 30,000 pounds, and then you went home. We'd say bingo plus 20, now we have 50,000 pounds of fuel. He would say, nah, you need to stay up here another couple hours. We're gonna fly around some more, you know. So we hated those kind of things.
Anything else? Okay, if you wanna get, and then you can feel free, if you wanna talk to him personally, you can come up and talk to him personally, you can look at some of the artifacts